The gospel reading comes from Mark chapter 12. As he taught, he said, "Beware of the scribes who like to walk around in long robes and to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces, and to have the best seats in the synagogues and places of honor at the banquets. They devour widows' houses, and for the sake of appearance say long prayers. They will receive the greater condemnation." He sat down opposite the treasury and watched the crowd putting money into the treasury. Many rich people put in large sums. A poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which are worth a penny. Then he called his disciples and said to them, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the treasury. For all of them have contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, all she had to live on." Everybody wants a piece of the pie. When you flip through the TV channels, if you're on the Bible Network or the Christian TV stations, there's always these preachers up there, and they're smiling their big toothy grins, and they're telling you, if you give 10%, the Lord is going to bless you. Whatever you put into the storehouse, God will bless you tenfold. Trust me. Give your money to the church, and Jesus will come and enrich your life, and you too will be happy and successful, like me, who just took all your money. I was apparently bored last night or something, because I was laying in bed and trying to fall asleep, but I had been in Barnes & Noble and saw that Joel Osteen came out with a new book. And again, full disclosure, I'm a terrible cynic. So I'm like, all right, I want to see what this is about. And so I found a clip of his sermon that was broadcast on Oprah's network. And so I'm like, okay, this will put me to sleep. So I turned it on, and yeah, I didn't enjoy it, but good for him. I mean, heck, if I could make that kind of money doing what he does, I don't blame him a bit. But he was using the same type of motivation, the same type of methodology to tell everybody that basically to name it, claim it, right? The prosperity gospel. That if you speak it into the universe, I am wonderful, I am good, I am beautiful, I am successful, that it's going to come back to you. And I'm thinking of, was it Richard Small? There was that guy's name that stood in front of the mirror and said, "I am handsome. People like me." Anyway. But you know, maybe there's some truth to it. Or maybe not. Maybe they are just after our money. I have no idea, but when we come across a passage like this, where Jesus is commending this widow for giving everything that she has, it seems like that is what the Bible says. It seems like that's what Jesus is teaching us, that we give everything and make ourselves destitute, and then all of a sudden something miraculous is going to happen, and everything's going to go okay in the end. But, wow, that's some scary stuff. Some really scary stuff. And then you have Elijah, who encounters this widow. And the funny thing is, God tells Elijah to go to this place, and you're going to encounter a widow. And this widow is going to feed you, because I have commanded her to do so. But the funny thing is, I don't think the widow got the memo. Because when he gets there, and he says, "Okay, I need some water." She says, "Okay, I can do that for you." And he says, "Oh, and I want you to come back." He didn't ask her, he tells her, I love this. "Come back with some bread in your hand for me to eat. I'm hungry." And the woman says, "I would, but we don't have anything. In fact, right after this, we're going to go home and make a little tiny cake. My son and I are going to eat it, and then we're going to die of starvation." Oh, that gives you the warm fuzzies. Apparently, she didn't get this memo from God that she was supposed to feed him, because she's fighting against it. Or maybe she did, and she's like, "Yeah, for my dead body," literally. And so Elijah says, and I love this line, because it's pure comedy. He says, "Okay, go and do what you have said. But first, make me some food." "Okay, make your food, you and your kid eat, you guys die, but before you're dead, feed me first, please, I'm hungry." sorry, maybe that's just my sick head. That's how I read this passage. That's just what it sounds like. Go and do what you have said, but before you do, feed me. I'm hungry. Besides, God told you to. And so the woman does, and everything works out, right? The food never goes away, there's always oil, there's always meal in the canister, and they're always able to eat, and everything goes wonderfully. It's amazing. Giving this wonderful message that no matter how much we give, God will continue to provide. But the lectionary is smart because it cuts the passage off there. See, if you read the next paragraph, her son dies anyway. Yep. Thanks for feeding me. Too bad for you. But see, Elijah just doesn't go on his way and say, too bad, so sad, I'm out of here. Better you than me. Elijah has concern. In fact, Elijah gets miffed at God and said, what is wrong with you? You told me to go to this woman and that she would feed me and that everything would be okay, and you let her son die? What is wrong with you? And so Elijah tells the woman, don't worry. Don't worry. I've got this. I can't even fathom this. You've done what you were asked. I've done what I was asked. So how could things go so wrong like this? How could it be that he's up there in his bed dead? And so Elijah goes up there and spreads his body over the man's and commands him to get up. Right? God, bring him back. Bring him back. It cannot work this way. You promised that if we do what you said, that things will go well. Takes us back to these stories of Job, right? And Ruth. Do what God says, and everything will work out in the end. Go against God, and you will be punished. So Elijah, I'm sure, is thinking, what the heck did we do wrong here? We followed everything to the T. Was it because the woman kind of paused for a minute before she fed me? Was it because she said, yeah, but we don't have anything. Is this punishment for that? It's hard to tell what was going through Elijah's head, but he goes and he commands that boy to get back up. Thankfully, he does. And Elijah goes back downstairs and said, everything's okay. He's up there, he's awake, he's alive, we can go see him now. Everything worked out in the end. So maybe the two go together to say, yeah, things will work out in the end, but it won't be exactly the way you think it will. Things work out so quickly. Maybe our expectations aren't always going to be met when we do whatever we think that God is telling us to do. Give it your all. Expect the worst, but hope for the best. I don't know. Maybe you're going to get the best, but you're going to go through the worst first. It's really hard to tell what the message is here. But the feel-good preachers will take the message and leave out the part about a kid dying and say, see, God provides in the end. Fork it up. Come on. Here's how you spell my name. Write that check. But it is simply not that simple. So there has to be something else, something deeper, something that makes more sense, or even if it doesn't, like most of these stories, there's still got to be some truth to this. There still has to be some kind of nugget of wisdom in this idea that we give our all. Maybe we give our all without the expectation of blessing. So that we've done what we're supposed to, but yet we don't expect anything in return. We hear that message a lot too. That makes a little more sense to me. I think of Cortez. Cortez in 1519 had been sent by the Spaniards. The Spaniards had finally reclaimed their own country from the Muslims, right, who had ruled since the 700s in Spain, and they reclaimed their own country, and they're starting to expand, and they're building power and building up the Armada, and they tried so many times to conquer Mexico. Right? The Aztecs and all of the other kingdoms that were there, and they said, we're going to do it this time. We're going to make this work. And so they send Cortez out there, and in 1519 he lands on the shores of Mexico, and he goes in, and they're fighting, and all the men start to freak out, because they're way outnumbered. And some of them start to mutiny. And so he mutilates their feet so they can't run away. Well, they obviously can't fight either. Way to go, smart guy. But he decides to burn the ships. Well, the story goes that he burned the ships. Some say that he just sank the ships. But either way, he made sure they were not getting out of there, himself included. They were either going to be successful or they were going to die. Those were the only two options. There was no running away. They were going to face what they had to face. Now, of course, we don't agree with the mission. Of course, we don't agree with this whole conquest and destroy and conquer type of mentality. And of course, it was, as you would guess, in the name of God, right? The real purpose wasn't for the resources in Mexico. No, they didn't care about that. They went to convert these heathens to Christianity to enrich their lives. It's funny how that message still goes on today. We like to tell everybody what to do so that their lives can be enriched because we know and they don't. But nonetheless, the point is, they were going to have victory or death. There was no such thing as running away because their way home was burned, destroyed, sunk to the bottom of the sea. But what does this tell us? To me, it tells us that we give our all in life or else we are going to have regrets. We know that Cortez was successful. We look at these passages and we get wrapped up around the idea of money because it was the woman who put in her last penny or 2 coins. And Jesus commends this. And so our minds are always stuck on the idea of money. We have to give all of our money, or a lot of it, until it hurts. Or as you mentioned before, right, until it feels good. Right? That works. It's definitely true. But what else do we have to give? As I mentioned before, Weston's football team had an abysmal season. It was really bad. There weren't a lot of games where I watched it and thought, you know, guys, if you would have given a little more heart, you could have won that game. No, they pretty much got decimated almost every game. But there were seasons, there were games, there were times, there's plenty of them on TV, where you thought, if they only wouldn't have given up, if they only would have trusted that they could have won. It doesn't matter that they were 2-7 and playing a 9-0 team. It doesn't matter, because they came so close. And how many regrets follow us in life when we don't give it our all? Instead of spending our time thinking of ways that we can give every bit of energy and dedication and life to the project or the purpose that we're focused on, we're focused on the ships. We're reminding ourselves, well, if it goes bad, you can always jump back on the boat and head out. When are we willing to burn the ships? When are we willing to say there are no options other than giving it my all until I drop or succeeding? Maybe we start to trust God. Maybe we realize that God is not good, but God is goodness. All that is good is a part of God. All that is within us that is good is God. It's not merely that we are mirroring this image of God, but God dwells within us and all of creation, and God continues to create, and God continues to do good, and God continues to work through us so that good can be done here on this earth, so that people can be blessed, that we are a vessel, that we are a conduit of blessing, and that everywhere we go, we give our all, so that people can be blessed, and so that Jesus promised to have a life in its fullest can be seen to its fruition. What if we think of life that way? What if we think we don't need the ships behind us anymore? Because we believe and we trust and we know within our soul that if we give everything toward what we've been called to do, that people will be blessed. And we don't know how it's going to work, but in the end, it's going to work. Because it's not just that we're flipping some switch. It's not just that we're making something bad into something good. We're really getting into something that's happening anyway. It's already happening. Whether we're a part of it or not, it's going to happen. But somebody's going to answer the call. The only difference with us is we can choose to be a part of it and feel good about it at the end and say, wow, God used me to make this happen because I chose to give my all. I chose not to run. I chose not to get scared and say, I can't do that. Who am I? I chose to be a part of it, and I chose to trust. Instead of standing on the outside and saying, God, I wish I would have done better. I know I could have. Even at the time, I knew I could have done better. But I gave up. I wish I hadn't done that. That's what a regret is. When you know in that moment that you could do better, and you choose not to. That's where regrets come from. That's where complacency comes from. Complacency is that blanket of excuses we put over ourselves because we know in the morning or in years to come we're going to regret it. So we start putting on those excuses to make ourselves feel better. When we start remembering, I remember that time I could have done a little better, but I really screwed up. I'm not talking about mistakes. I'm not talking about when you've hurt somebody or betrayed somebody or relationship things, although yes, those are very valid. Those are part of it. But I'm talking about that conscious decision not to give everything that we have, every last bit of energy, and not to trust that God will make it all right in the end. That God will use us. All of those talents, all of those gifts, all of the things that God has put in us from the beginning of creation. Because God has created us in God's image, fearfully and wonderfully made. We were not made to fail. We were not created to be good enough. We were not put here on this earth or brought out of the soil or the stardust or whatever, so that we could become complacent or maybe just say, yeah, I did okay. We are here to give it our all, to give it our best, so that come the next morning we can stand in front of the mirror and accept what we see, so that we can live with ourselves. Because that's a heck of a lot easier than that constant reminder that we could have done better. But she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, all she had to live on. Maybe it was that she didn't have very much financially. Maybe it was that she thought she didn't have much to give as a human being. But despite that, she gave everything that she had. And that, in the end, is what makes all the difference. Burn the ships, move forward, because this is what we've been called to.